Welcome to the BEASTwriter podcast. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we're going to be discussing the move that was made earlier in the offseason in regards to trading defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. Now, for those who don't follow me on Twitter, I've pounded the table why the trade was made and why it was a bad move. It was probably John Lynch's worst move he's made as general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, and I strongly criticize the transaction, and for good reason. We are seeing what I'm talking about today. Alright, so let's just go back and rewind, and why am I even bringing this up? Well, he was asked by The Athletic his thoughts on being traded, and this is what he said in a recent interview. DeForest Buckner said, quote, "I was hoping the 49ers would at least meet me in the middle. I definitely didn't expect them to trade me. I poured my heart and soul into that organization to go from 2-14 my first year, to go from 2-14 my first year to build a culture and get to a Super Bowl. You just don't expect to be traded." That's what Buckner said. All right? And he's right. Buckner is 100% right. Again, let's go back in the timeline of how this trade transpired and why the trade was made and the arguments from both sides. Joe Siegel, who is DeForest Buckner's agent, pounded on the table and sat down with Parag Marathe, the vice president of football operations, John Lynch, and Kyle Shanahan, and said, "My client, DeForest Buckner, is not accepting anything less than a front-loaded contract and at least $21 million per year." So basically he's saying, my client is one of the best in the NFL. He's going to help reset the market, and he's just as good as Aaron Donald, or just a notch below. Basically saying he's an all-pro player. And he was. He was a second-team all-pro after that Super Bowl season. Why not pay him? Here we go. The scouting combine comes and it's held in Indianapolis. There are 5 to 6 teams that were interested in DeForest Buckner once he was on the trading block because Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch knew they weren't going to make a play for him, so they put him on the block. And who answers the phone call? GM Chris Ballard, who I said was a wheeler and dealer in my earlier podcast. Yes, he was, and he continues to be one today. He knew the value in DeForest Buckner, so he called the 49ers and swung a first-round pick, which ultimately ended up being pick number 13, and in return got top 5 defensive tackle, all-pro defensive tackle, DeForest Buckner. He then struck a deal shortly thereafter for a 4-year, $84 million contract, which breaks it down to $21 million annually. So $1 million more per year than what Buckner wanted. All right? The way I see it, it's like the great Warren Buffett. For those who don't know who Warren Buffett is, he's a savvy investor, one of the moguls of American history in terms of stocks and the market. And he says, price is what you pay, value is what you get. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. That's how you play the long game. All right? Buckner got a front-loaded deal with the Indianapolis Colts. It was worth $40.3 million in his first 2 years. So yeah, it's front-loaded. But why would Buckner accept anything less than a front-loaded contract? He played his contract out to perfection. He's earned the right. He's been playing consistent football at an all-pro level, so you need to reward him as such. Otherwise, another team will. And to say he's not worth that much, well, there are 5 or 6 teams that were kind of vying for his services, and ultimately Chris Ballard was the more aggressive suitor at the time, and ultimately got him in return. So to say he's not worth it, it's not true. 5 to 6 other teams wanted him. Secondly, name 3 defensive tackles that are better than him. Just do it. See if you can name 3 defensive tackles better than him. I'll wait. Can't do it because you guys all have different names. And in fact, the proof is in the pudding. All right? So, people say the argument next. Okay? That's argument number 1. The next argument would be like, oh, 49er fans say they couldn't afford him. Check my receipt in my first BEASTwriter podcast episode, and I did. Just hit the description right here, scroll down. I'll put this out on you. This is what I said on DeForest Buckner, okay, once the trade was made. Fans say they couldn't afford DeForest Buckner. That's BS. They could have released or traded Richard Sherman, which I said on my Twitter, saved the team $12.9 million, kept that Super Bowl window open longer, and then prioritizing Buckner over Armstead would be a better play. Now, Buckner came at a cheaper price, but cheaper doesn't always mean better. Again, price is what you pay, value is what you get. 49ers clearly wanted a backloaded deal. That's without question. And who's going to come with a backloaded negotiation? Obviously, Armstead. Why Armstead? Because he only had one good year in a contract year. His fifth-year option, he balled out of control from the pass rush department, and as a result, got paid. But it was a backloaded contract. So instead of forking out $40.3 million to Buckner, you basically cut that in half and give up, I believe it's $18.5 million in the first 2 years to Eric Armstead. Now, after year one, how does that looking so far? We're halfway at the midway point through season number 1, with both players playing on separate teams. How is that looking? Not very good. In fact, let's take it a next step. DeForest Buckner, don't take my word for it, but DeForest Buckner was considered a steal of 2020 by Jason La Canfora of CBS Sports. A steal, meaning, again, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And if you look at the Colts defense, yeah, he only has 2.5 sacks, but don't just be a box score reader. Do your research, watch game film, and then you will know exactly the impact that DeForest Buckner is making. In fact, I put it on my Twitter earlier, and people were like, oh my gosh, I missed that kind of production. Absolutely, we all do, because it's all pro production. Just saying. And what happened when Chris Ballard pulled the trigger for DeForest Buckner? Well, they have the number 1 defense in the NFL. Yes, the Colts have the number 1 D in the NFL, and it's all because of Buckner. If you look at their roster and you look at their starters in the front 7, the only change really is DeForest Buckner. He's the difference maker up front, making the secondary and the second level players a lot better. He makes other people better. I said it on my Twitter. Who's going to replace DeForest Buckner that makes other people better? Name one. Everyone was saying Kinlaw. Well, how's that going for you? It's not. Just saying. Check the receipts, bro. Check the receipts. All right. So why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because it comes down to Fred Warner, who is in a similar situation. Fred Warner may be the odd man out in San Francisco because the 49ers find themselves in salary cap hell and have so many unrestricted free agents at the end of the year. He's the best middle linebacker in the NFL. He gets paid $1 million per year, actually less than $1 million per year based on his rookie deal that he signed back in 2018. He's due a front-loaded deal, like Buckner. And on top of that, you compare that to Seattle Seahawks Bobby Wagner, who I don't know why he was graded as a first-team All-Pro by PFF. Swipe left on that. Anyways, yes, Bobby Wagner, who gets paid $18 million annually. $18 million annually. $18 million versus $1 million a year. You don't think that Fred Warner is going to be due or asking for a front-loaded contract, being underpaid on that rookie deal for the better half of the 2 seasons now? No. He's going to want a front-loaded deal. There's no hometown discount. The NFL is a business, guys. I hate to say it, but it is a business. As a fan, yeah, you want these players to stay, and you grow a sense of attachment to these players because you kind of grew up watching them, right? In a sense, they get drafted, they pan out, or the players that don't pan out, but the ones that do, you gravitate toward those players. And then you buy their jerseys, and then you go out to their signings, and then you go out to all these off-season events where you can interact with the players that you like. But at the end of the day, it's a business, guys. I hate to say it, but it is a business. It's $1 billion business, to be exact. And at the end of the day, Fred Warner may be the odd man out because there's so much money tied into Eric Armstead and other players, not just Eric Armstead, but other players. So where's the money going to come from? It doesn't grow on trees. It's got to come from somewhere. And I just don't see it happening because in order for the 49ers to re-sign Fred Warner, he might be the highest paid middle linebacker in the NFL this time next year. And if Parag Marathe doesn't see the value in signing him or inking him to a long-term deal, he'll ship him out just as quick as he shipped out Buckner, who was the heart and soul of the defense before Fred Warner took that spot this year. I hate to say it, but it's nothing against Fred Warner. I love Fred Warner. In fact, like I said, I've been saying he's the best middle linebacker in the NFL since last year, and people were like, oh no, he's good, but he's not that good. Yes, he's that good. And if I'm Fred Warner, I can't speak for anyone else, but I can only speak for myself. But if I'm in Fred Warner's shoes, I'm looking to get paid. Because at less than $1 million per year, and I'm producing better than the guy who's the highest paid middle linebacker at $18 million per year, You bet your damn mind I'm going to get paid. I'm going to secure that bag. It's a business. It's a business. Show me the money. You value me? Show me the money. Don't show me a backloaded contract. Show me a front-loaded contract that the Colts gave DeForest Buckner, and show me the money. If you don't, someone else will. 5 or 6 teams, 10 or 12 teams, probably even more, because Fred Warner is only 23 years old. You do the math. Price is what you pay, values is what you get. That's my lesson for today. I hope you had what I like to say. If you did, please hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen as I keep all things Beast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm about to head out because I'm tired. BEASTwriter, out.